This is Jeffrey Hoffman with Fight Sport Focus and FightSportFocus.com, welcoming Sam Shewmaker to the Fight Sport Focus Face-Off. Sam, thank you so much for being here. Let me ask you, what made you decide to want to take off the gloves and fight bare knuckle?
It's been kind of in my lineage for years. My grandfather was a bare knuckle fighter, sort of say here down at the lake. They like to, back in the old times, they'd have people come through and they just challenge each other, and they'd either get the gloves on or even without gloves and have a boxing match right there and shake hands and drink beer afterwards. My dad was the same way. So it's just kind of one of those things that I grew up knowing about and doing, and getting in fisticuffs here and there, and then getting up, shaking hands, and being done with it. So whenever I saw the opportunity come up on a social media website about the tryouts in Philly for this bare knuckle thing, I jumped right on it and flew out there for the tryouts, and just really enjoyed what I saw and the people I met, and just it's been great ever since.
BKFC 15, you're set to make your sixth BKFC appearance. How'd you get your foot in the door with the promotion?
Those tryouts in Philly went up and really showcased, what I have, just my raw power and a little bit of talent. I'm a kind of a diamond in the rough kind of guy, and just with a little smoothing, I've come out of it looking okay, as far as coming from being just such a rough background and raw, and just went to Philly for a training camp there for a little while, and really got some good hardcore professional training and sparring, and some of the best coaches in the world. So it's really been nice. Rodney Rice has really taken me under my wing. He's my manager out of Philly and coach from up there, and he's usually in my corner at these BKFC fights, and just a very knowledgeable man who has taught me a lot since coming on board with BKFC.
So you appeared on BKFC's 1 through 5, but now you've had about a year and a half away. Was there any particular reason for that layoff?
We felt like with having me, I was the only one that was in the first 5 shows. We wanted to kind of lay off a little bit and not just overdo it and have me too much out in front of the people. Uh, as far as letting some other fighters get in and have their chance to have some fights. And then while we were taking a little bit of a break from it, I had a few glove boxing matches as well. And then, of course, this past year, COVID came into play, and that really kind of put a stop to it too. I was supposed to have my first BKFC match coming back this past March, and it got postponed due to COVID out in Kansas. So we're itching to get back in there.
Yep. So speaking of gloved boxing, I know that you've got some experience in professional boxing. Other than the obvious, what would you say are some of the biggest differences between gloved boxing and boxing bare knuckle?
Some of the obvious things like the feeling of getting hit bare knuckle and gloves is different, but the biggest thing that stands out to me is also the distance. The distance with boxing is a little bit farther. You can be a little bit farther because, yes, it's only a half inch to three-quarters of an inch of padding in that glove. That's distance, but it's different. It really does make a difference. That little half step that you got to take to get a little bit closer to land that bare knuckle shot to really make it effective is a big difference for me.
Is your preparation any different for a bare knuckle bout compared with gloved boxing, or are you doing the same routines?
It's mostly the same routine. There's a few things different, like some hand toughening drills and things that we do. A little bit on the time, as far as, because the rounds for bare knuckle is less. They're
Yeah,
2 minutes,
just
and
2 minutes.
professional
Yep.
boxing is three. So it's taken me a little bit to adjust. I'm more of I still, or was there for a while, having the mindset that you had more time to move and to work and do things. But with BKFC, it's such a faster pace. You really got to get in there and work, because then the rounds are over, and then the fight's done before you even know it.
So speaking of preparation, has the COVID-19 pandemic and the quarantines and lockdowns, has that affected your training at all?
Very little. Some of the sparring that we used to do, like in Kansas City and St. Louis and Springfield and stuff's kind of slowed down a little bit because people are kind of, set back by it, gyms closed, things like that. But for the most part, we've been full steam ahead here at the lake.
5 fights with BKFC. Who has been your toughest opponent that you've faced so far?
I think the most skilled one that I've faced so far, um, there's two that stick out to me. And you might think I'm crazy, but Eric Prindle, yeah, the fight lasted 18 seconds. I was able to land that shot on him, but his combat background is very extensive, very skilled fighter. And then, of course, the next one to me that was the hardest bare knuckle fight would have been Chase Sherman. Tough guy, takes a good shot, gives a good shot. We stood toe to toe, danced around, and really thumped on each other, and it went to full, 5 rounds, and ended up with a draw in Mississippi. But those two right there, I think, so far have been my toughest competition.
What did you learn from that Chase Sherman fight?
Man, I learned that the big shot just don't always come, and that sometimes you just got to make things happen in there. Work and just make sure that you have the air to go the 5 rounds. The endurance. So that was probably the biggest learning curve for me.
BKFC 15, Friday, December 11th. You are headlining this show against Mark Godbeer. Is this your first main event with BKFC?
This is the second. The first one was when I lost a split decision to Arnold Adams in the championship fight for the heavyweight tournament.
What do you think Mark is going to bring to this fight?
Aggression, power. The guy's got, he's very aggressive, and he's got a really good right hand. So I'm sure he's going to, try to put the pressure on and try to get me out of there early. So it's going to be a good challenge for me. Any
predictions on how this one might end?
I don't think it's going to go the full 5 rounds. I'll tell you that. Somebody's going down.
Sam Shewmaker facing Mark Godbeer, main event of BKFC 15, Friday, December 11th from Biloxi, Mississippi, and live on the BK TV app. Sam, this is your time. Do you want to shout out your school, coaches, sponsors?
Yeah, I'd like to, give a big shout out to my wife and my children. They're big supporters and really help out while I'm away and just support me every day. Even in my lowest times, they're there for me, pushing me. I'd like to give a big shout out to my uncle and my brothers who are really big on helping me get out there and train and help coaching me and pushing me along the way. My sponsors, Hard Smoking Sauce. It's some of the best stuff out there. You guys need to look it up on Amazon. You can buy it. It's a sauce that my friend started a couple years ago, and it's really getting out there and going. And it's he's got a rub, he's got a barbecue sauce, he's got a hot wing sauce, and it is just delicious. It's really taken off here in the local area. Captain Ron's Bar and Grill here on the lake. Ron Dugan, the owner, he's always been a big supporter of mine, a big sponsor every time. Really nice guy, really great establishment. If you're looking for something fun to do out here on the water, they got a full pirate ship. They got all kinds of stuff. It's awesome. And then also, I'd like to shout out to Bill Ward Painting. He's a local contractor around here, does great work. Really been a big supporter of the fight game for a long time and of the Hillbilly Hammer team, so it's been awesome to have them. And also our local Mexican restaurant, Veracruz Mexican Restaurant. It is just amazing food, fast, dependable. They're always good. It's and for a great price. It's a good family atmosphere. And a big shout out to Rodney Rice, my manager and coach out of Philadelphia. He's really helped me out along this journey, and it's just been really great. Shout out to all my BKFC family and friends. Without you all, I wouldn't be here. You guys are great. You're a great support system, and just glad that you all tune in and just have my back through all of this. No matter win, lose, or draw, you guys have always been there. Great. I love it. I also got to give a big shout out to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Without him, I wouldn't be here today. So I just appreciate the interview, and thank you so much for getting me on the air.
Sam Shewmaker, thank you so much for being on the Fight Sport Focus Face-Off. Guys, don't forget, follow us on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Fight Sport Focus. Visit our website, fightsportfocus.com, and subscribe to and share this podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, I'm Jeffrey Hoffman. Thanks for listening.